What's up, fellow questers? Welcome back to another episode of I Don't Believe in Side Quests, where we love to remind you that every side quest is somebody else's main quest. I'm Gabe,
I'm Lauren.
and let's do some catch up on what's been happening this week for us. Sorry, I'm super slumming it today. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted, and it's it's been really gross at the school. Like, there's some airflow, but there's not a lot, and because it's a private school, or like a Catholic school, we have to dress more reserved, so you have way more clothing on than you would want to, and I've been sweating
How
my
hot
balls.
is it?
Um well, I get warm really easily. Like, when I'm working, I get hot pretty fast, but
Sure.
it's been in the 70s, so then it gets pretty
Eh.
warm in there when there's not a whole lot of airflow, because it's an older building too. So even when they have little
Hmm.
AC on, it's like they don't have anything on.
Yeah.
And it's just like, can we get a little bit more, please? I'm dying.
We were
So,
supposed to have a heat wave last week,
mhm,
and we had like 2 days where it's just like, oh, no, this is nice weather. It's
yeah,
like 70s ish.
mhm,
And then it was at like 4 a.m.
mhm,
after 2 days of nice weather when we were supposed to have more days of nice weather.
yeah,
All of a sudden, there was this huge rolling thunder, and we don't get rolling thunder in Seattle. So, this is, I think we got rolling thunder for the first time maybe 2 years ago, and it was the weirdest thing just because people who have grown up in Seattle and haven't been in the Midwest or anything like that, where there is a
yeah.
lot more rolling
What do you mean by
thunder.
rolling thunder?
So, for most of the time that I lived in Seattle, thunder would be more like a boom,
Mhm.
like there'd be a loud and then it would kind of peter off really quickly
Oh, okay.
versus rolling thunder where it's, like
Intense.
10, 15 seconds long, like 30
Yeah, yeah,
seconds,
yeah.
like it
Okay.
just keeps rolling.
Okay.
But we've never had that, and I don't
I didn't know
know
that's what it's
why.
called.
I don't. Yeah, rolling thunder when it's just like continuing to go on. And so usually our thunder is just like boom. All right, let's move on. But
I
yeah,
like
no,
rolling
we
thunder.
had it. Yeah, it was so loud and it went on for so long.
Mhm.
Like we had time to like wake up, and my husband like ran out onto the deck to just see what was going on because it was still going. Like we thought it was, a jet passing over close to us or something, just because it was so long. And then he got back into bed and we saw like a flash of light, and then it happened again. We were like, okay. We had kind of assumed it was thunder,
Yeah.
even though it didn't really sound like typical thunder for us. Um, and then the heavens opened and it just poured for like 30 minutes. And then it was just back to normal gray Seattle weather. So we had just like 45 minutes of like freak storm. And then it was just like, your heat wave is now gone. We have all moved on emotionally. So,
That's good though. With lots of thunder, that puts nitrogen in the air, and it's really good for your plants and trees and stuff. So,
ooh.
yeah, we were having not storms, but like we were having some rain and thunder. We didn't have
Mm.
any lightning, but we had quite a bit of thunder and rain this past weekend, which was nice. Good for the emerging plants.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been really gray recently, but it hasn't
Yeah.
been super rainy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, getting that really nice water was good. But then it is supposed to get really hot. My husband is going down to Portland for this upcoming weekend,
Mhm.
and there is a Fast and Furious marathon going on down there
Ooh.
to kind of prepare everyone because the 10th Fast and
Yeah.
Furious movie is coming out. And so, starting on Sunday, there's this theater in Portland that is doing like 3 movies a day.
I would so go to that.
on Sunday they're doing, I think, the first three, and then they're starting at 5:30 the next 3 nights. They're doing another few anyway, just to like so you can watch all of them,
Mm-hmm.
obviously in order, and then the next day it will come out.
I'd so do that. I love the Fast and Furious movies.
Have you seen all of them?
Mm-hmm. I not all of them have we really gone to the theaters for, but
Mm,
like the second they're out on the TV, we record them and stuff
yeah.
and watch them. I think I think three of them or maybe four I've seen in theaters. The one with the flying cars. I think it was the one where the guy passed away, so his they did CGI and his brother for part of the movie. I can't come up with the actor's name off the
Yeah.
top of my head. Yeah.
Paul Walker is the actor you're thinking of.
Yeah. Yes, okay. I I had the character's name in my head and I was like, no, no. Starts with a P. That's so sad. So sad. It's so tragic.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my favorite characters. Well, I think he was beloved by many who liked Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
But I saw that one in theaters. Yeah, I think that's the one with the flying cars. And spoiler alert, the one where Dom finds out he has a child. Or I think he already knew I think he knew he had a child, but like you meet the child. I don't know, that's the whole thing.
Hmm.
And then the Tokyo Drift. I think I
I
saw
saw
in
Tokyo
theaters.
Drift.
And then the like bank one where they literally steal the whole bank vault and they're driving all around the city and it's like flying around behind them. I can't remember which one that is.
Quick question. Is it
Yes.
in the upcoming movie that they're going to space?
Are they actually
Or have
going to
they already
space?
gone to space?
I don't think they've gone to space, but I didn't know they were going to space. I know that the newest
Maybe
one
that was a joke.
is I think that's a joke. It's not like a sequel, but like the bad guy in that one is from the one with the bank vault flying all around behind the cars. I just can't remember which one that is. But he's supposedly, I don't really remember him being in that movie, but he's supposedly from that movie and he's like all pissed off and he's finally come to seek his vengeance, if I remember right.
Hmm.
There's no way they go to space. Why would they go to space?
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
the joke is probably, every Fast and Furious, right? You have to outdo the other one. So that was the
Yeah,
whole point
get
of the
bigger and
flying
better.
cars is in the beginning. I think it's Ludacris's character is like, what's next? Flying cars? And then lo and behold, in the last bit of the movie, that it's flying cars. So you always have to up it, you know? So I guess but no, I would be very shocked if they went to space. There would be no reason that I could think of. Wait, okay, so you're saying your husband is going to go watch those? Like he's going to Oregon to go or to Portland to go watch
He's
all that.
not doing the whole series. He's doing Sunday and Monday because his friend who he's gonna go see them with couldn't do Tuesday and Wednesday.
Gotcha.
So he'll go down, see the first like 5
Hmm.
or so of the movies, and then head on home.
Are they gonna go to the premiere of the new one? That's fair. That's fair.
No, he maybe when he comes back up, maybe he and I will go to it
Can I come
if
with?
he's on the Fast and Furious kick.
Sometimes you just gotta be. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this is really awful, but there's the Tokyo Drift song, and I don't know if it was. I feel like it was made specifically for the Fast and Furious, but I don't know. I could be wrong, but they play it in Tokyo Drift, and it's a whole thing. But when I was younger, so they say drift, 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 but they have a heavier accent when they're saying it. And when I was younger, I thought they were saying dick, 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 and I was like, what? What? Where's that coming from? So sometimes when I hear the song, I sing it that way, and my friends are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You don't.
Singing it the correct way, thank you.
It just sticks with you."
There's not a whole bunch going on in video game news right now. Other than conversations about how AI is going to be changing the video game industry, and that's just a conversation for another day that we can really get into. But I did want to highlight that I think today the World Video Game Hall of Fame announced the 2023 inductees, and that's Computer Space, The Last of Us, Wii Sports, which I think is fascinating. As like, I thought it was more of a genre, but
No, Wii Sports is
it's
a
just
game.
a game.
Yeah.
And then Barbie Fashion Designer. And this Barbie Fashion Designer was a 1996 PC game.
Yeah.
And the reason that they inducted it into the Hall of Fame is because the game came out at a time when companies were not sure that games marketed towards girls could even succeed. And the game allowed players to design their own clothes for the dolls and print their designs out on special fabric. So it was absolutely just like girly, 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 but it was also, you know, a PC game specifically designed to appeal to little girls and specifically targeted towards that audience. Um, Nancy Drew didn't come out, or Nancy Drew came out in 1999, I think was the first one.
I think so.
So, yeah, I think Barbie is always paving the way for girl games or activities or anything like that. So,
I
I'm
wonder
not surprised.
if it inspired. There's a couple Mary Kate and Ashley games that they made when
Mm,
that was big. I wonder if that kind of inspired that. And then there was another game that it was like I feel like it was like a TV game, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't necessarily a
mm-hmm.
belonged to a specific console. It like had its
Like a
own
DVD
thing.
game.
No, it was more of like it's like we used to have a Pac-Man, right? And you plugged the Pac-Man into the TV, and that was like how you played it. It was like its own
Mm,
thing. It didn't
mm-hmm,
go on
mm-hmm.
a console or on one, you know what I mean? So I think it was like that. And it was kind of similar in that you know, you could design your own clothes and stuff, but then I don't remember if you're like on like a college campus or something, but like you could do all this like weird stuff, and it was I think it was early 2000s. I can very whoops sorry vaguely like picture it in my head on the TV at my friend's house, and it I don't know, it just makes me think about that. But I have no idea if you're going to be able to Google search it because I don't think I gave you enough information.
Um, okay, hold on.
Okay, I'm
There's a
all
girls' fashion slash lifestyle game that was like a console with only one game that hooked up directly to the TV.
what was it called?
Uh, Designer's World by Hasbro or Dream Life
Okay, Designer's World.
or Dream Life, yeah. Um, Somebody on Reddit was looking for and describing basically the same thing.
Okay, I definitely played Designer's World with a friend. I had a friend who had this. It's not the one I was picturing in my head, but yes, I do remember this. When did this game come out? I think my cousin. I think I played this game with my cousin. Okay, and the other one was Dream Life.
Designer's World 2006 plug
Okay.
and play TV game.
Dream Life Superstar TV plug-in game. Oh my gosh, I can get it on Amazon. Is there a video for it? I just
I
let the
know all of
video.
these are on Amazon.
Plug in. Oh, here we go. Plug and play Dream Life. Let me just like check it out. Give me a second. Hold on, I have a 5-second ad. Okay. Skip. Goodbye. Okay, this guy's about to play this game. I love this for him. Wait, no, yes. I
Is it?
think it is. Wait. I think it is. How do you, I don't know how you managed to pull this out of your hat. I gave such vague descriptions. Wait, I need to see his gameplay.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest. I typed in early 2000s fashion video games, and literally, so there was an Amazon like Designers World TV plugin game ad, and then right under it was the Reddit post of the person looking for exactly this. So
I
the
gotta
Google worked it out.
I gotta put this in my notes to come back to. I can't. Okay, it's okay. Dream Life by Hasbro, and then what was the other one? I can't even remember.
Designers World.
I can't. Oh my gosh. I wonder if I could plug them into my computer and then stream them with like with my Elgato. I would die. I would die to relive that moment.
That's going to be our co-stream.
That would be amazing. Let me
I would love that.
okay, wait, let me look at it on Amazon again. Okay, the Dream Life.
They plug into the AV ports on your TV, so
Oh, I see what they plug into. Ooh, okay, I don't know how I plugged that into my computer. But wait, is this like an updated version? No, it still has that. Dude, what TVs still have that kind of plugs? Not really any of mine, to be honest with you. I wonder if there's like an
most
adapter.
should.
Okay, that's something I'll have to come back to because that would be so funny. That would be so funny. I would cry. I love that you came up with that so fast. I can't. I can't. Woo! Blast to the past. Okay, but
So
looking at
there's
them,
this.
tell me they weren't inspired by Barbie fashion designer.
Oh, totally. Well, and then you get into like the Flash games that were going on in the mid
Yeah.
2000s, like the My Scene Girls or
Mm-hmm.
any of those like dress up virtual doll games.
They made
I
those
mean,
for the Winx. I don't know if you ever watched the Winx. Did you?
mm-mm.
Underrated show. It's an Italian show that I don't remember what channel they used to play it on.
Italian.
Yes. So
Didn't know it was
Netflix made the live.
Italian.
Yeah. It's wait, okay, you have to okay, let me see what you have to Google it. Okay, the fashion of this, we can make a whole episode on the Winx. I freaking love it. I love the Winx so much. And I'm not a big fan of the live action that Netflix made, but it's fine. Okay, if I search Winx Club season 1, does it you know what? I should show you the theme song. Actually, that's what I should show you because it's so epic. Like, okay, Winx Club season 1 theme
So I
song.
follow like fashion girlies on YouTube, and there have been several videos that I've watched of people being like, here's how I would have styled the
Ooh.
girls for the live action Winx Club. Or
Yes.
like, here's how.
Yes.
So
Okay,
I've seen
wait.
all of those.
Here you
I
go.
love to consume YouTube or podcasts or whatever of people talking about things that I've never seen.
Yes.
Like my favorite podcast talks about Vanderpump Rules
Mhm.
and just like Bravo shows in general, and like goes through the Housewives. I've never seen any of the Housewives, and I'm like, yes, I love this podcast. This is everything for me. I don't need to have watched it. I can just listen to them talk about it. They'll like do voices. They know all of the history. Because if I was just watching an episode,
Yeah.
I'd be going in blind. And they get to
Right.
say, ooh, and then she did this, which is talking about like what happened 3 seasons ago when this and such happened. And then her son who did this. And like they have all of the backstory and all of
Right.
like the sources.
Yeah.
And it just like, I love it. I love it so much.
I was too old for the Bratz era, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to one day like look if they ever made Bratz like a game. Like I feel like they had to have made a game about the Bratz dolls. I'd be so curious because I was always so fascinated by the whole like oh no, I'm thinking about Monster High. So there's Bratz and then there was Monster High, I think, which was they kind of reminded me of Bratz dolls, but it was like the supernatural stuff and I was always like
There are, in case you're wondering, a ton of Bratz games.
here we go. This is it. Capes and go-go boots. We are the wings, we are the wings. Come, we are the wings. Come, magical flowers. Fire, burning, got the style. You got that. Oh, it makes me so happy. Come, we are the wings.
I love the "We are the Wings, we are the Wings. Come
Yeah.
join the club. We are the Wings." I think it's a
Yes.
good chorus. I like it.
Yes.
No notes.
Exactly. I want okay, the boys, you have to see what the boys were. I saw maybe I should have typed in the boys. But like they had like the flare pants and like tell me that's not just modern fashion. Oh, well, okay. Can I oh Sky. Sky will be a good example because so you had the boy sector and like look, they have like go-go boots and capes. That was their like that was their school
Wait, no, look at
uniform.
the top left.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
at
This
him
is
just walking with
yeah,
the
yes.
shoulders. Okay, so this man is shaped like a triangle. Think like Fred Jones and Scooby Doo, but like
With
much
more
more
Riz.
effeminate.
Oh yeah, I suppose you could. Yeah.
But he's still blonde, shaped like a triangle. Also dressed in blue, which is fun for him. Who did you connect with in the Wings Club? Did you cast yourself as? I didn't see a
Oh,
wolf girl in there, but like,
honestly, probably Bloom. I liked all. I loved all the characters equally, but probably Bloom. I felt like, which is so.
which one is Bloom?
Oh, this one.
Bless you.
They were boyfriend girlfriend. The I'll
Is she the
just type
lead?
in Bloom. She is. So I feel so cringy saying that. And it's not because she's the lead. I just really, I don't know.
What is her
I felt
power?
her. She's fire. She has the dragon flame. So her power is like
Got it.
really rare. And it has, okay,
Oh,
so this
dragon.
was,
Okay, that
yeah,
tracks.
this was one of my gripes with the live action is it like completely ignores all the lore of the
Hmm.
cartoon and like what her powers and where it came from and the whole history of it. And I was like, so yeah, I'm pretty sure it was an Italian show. I'm pretty sure it started in Italy, if I remember. Okay, let me type.
Hmm. Well, it's just like I never, or I didn't realize that Avatar: The Lost Airbender was just like a Nickelodeon show because I
Yeah,
didn't watch Nickelodeon as a kid, so it was a very long time before I learned that it was a Nickelodeon show. I was like, oh, okay,
that's totally fair.
just
Yeah,
American show. Okay.
it was created and produced in Italy in 2004. And I was like, this is why they were so fashionable. The Italians understand what none of us do. It became one of the most successful animated series in Europe and one of the first Italian series to be sold in the US. Oh, I love it so much. Anyways,
Um,
I'm sorry. We had to have that moment.
Totally Spies is getting
Oh
new
no, are they getting a
seasons.
live action?
I don't think so. I don't think it's
Okay,
supposed to be live action. I think it was just they were gonna revive the series.
fair. I feel like we should do an episode on like our childhood, maybe more female targeted shows like that. Yeah, totally Spies.
Agreed.
There's others. I feel like that'd be a
Agreed.
good one.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. The woman who voice acted for Sam in Totally Spies also did Mandy
Oh, and in the with the
in
rabbit.
the
Oh no, wait, which Mandy are you
Mean
talking
Girl
about?
Mandy. The
In what?
mean popular girl Mandy.
Wait, in the same show? Nah, I'm confused. Mandy in what show?
Totally Spies.
Yes. Oh, Mandy.
Blonde Sam.
I know who
No.
Sam is. I know who Sam is. I don't remember any
Okay.
other character names besides the
Mandy
three
is
girls.
the mean popular dark brunette girl who's the main antagonist,
Oh,
like in the
yeah.
school life.
Yes, yes, yes.
The
Sorry,
voice
I
actor for
understand.
Sam and Mandy is the same woman.
Gotcha.
That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I thought you meant like in another show. So then I was really confused. And then I was like, are we talking about. Never mind, though. I think I was thinking of a Disney show. It was like Mandy and Mr. Whiskers or something like that.
Oh, yeah, the one with the
The dog and the rabbit.
uh,
Is that what they were?
right, but it was also like the Grim Reaper, right?
Oh. Oh, was she also named Mandy? That could be.
Oh no.
Was it Grimm's Fairy Tales? Is that what it was called? No,
Oh,
no, no, no.
Brandy and
Yes.
Mr.
Oh,
Whiskers.
Brandy. There we go. But I think
There
it
we go.
is. I think it is Mandy though. In the. I don't remember what the show was called though.
Yeah, I think it was the Grim Adventures of like Bill and Mandy or something like that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Wait. That's right. Grim Adventures. Yeah, Billy and Mandy.
Billy and Mandy. Wow, I pulled Billy out of somewhere.
I remember
Um,
Billy. I kind of forgot about Mandy because Billy just always kind of grossed me out. He did stuff that I was like, "Can you not?" Like, can
I did
you
not watch any of these shows. We did not have these channels at my house.
We
So
didn't have
it's
these
all
at.
from like advertisements that I've seen.
Oh, we didn't have these either. I only watched them at my grandma's house. To be honest
Mm.
with you, so it's totally fair. Uh Winx we could watch at home. I somehow that was on the basic cable, I think. I don't know. I just know
Hmm.
every Saturday morning that was my ish. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we could watch that on the basic cable. And I was like, say less. Teen Titans, I'm there.
Well, that makes sense because they weren't either Nickelodeon or Disney.
No,
So
they were a different.
probably they were just part of like maybe not PBS, but like some of the other
Yeah, they
more
weren't
general
PBS.
channels
Yeah.
that were just like, oh, excellent. We finally have cartoons that are not made and trademark by Nickelodeon or Disney that we
Mhm.
can actually show. Because I
Mhm.
know that there was a certain point in time where that was relatively few and far between.
You just had like PBS. And don't get me wrong, I loved all the PBS kids shows, but sometimes you wanted variety. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you didn't want just pure education, okay?
Listen, the Winx clubs taught me about fashion, okay? And they taught me
Important.
loyalty and to not be afraid to be who I am, okay?
And I love that.
I love that for you, sweetie. Anyways, stop. We have to stop. We can't keep talking about this because we'll just continue to go down the rabbit hole. That can be a next episode. We come in with nothing and see what tangents we go on for an hour and a half. Tell me that
Truly,
wouldn't
and
be a
just
little funny.
I I mean, it's kind of what we do.
It's really bad. We can't help it. We say something and it just triggers all these other things. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
okay, I came up okay, so the whole point of what this episode was supposed to be is we've talked, I feel like, about bits and pieces of our gaming experience, right? But we've never really addressed the whole thing. So I was kind of like, what if we talked about our gaming experience and kind of got the bigger picture of it, right? So I started with like, I'm going to just write these short answers. But as you can see, as I thought about it more and more, they just became paragraphs and paragraphs. And I was like, oh gosh, she's going to look at this and be like, WTF, bro. So,
So this is season 2, and some of you may not know us, and so this is a good way to kind of get to know us round 2, and it's also a lot of the questions that we'll be eventually asking some of our
true.
guests on this show.
Yeah, that's true. That was also kind of what I was thinking about too. Was, I don't know, because maybe people don't want to go back all the way to our first episode where we talk about ourselves, or like, they missed some episodes, or maybe we talked about some stuff. This felt like a good yeah,
Refresher.
it is a good refresher. Do you want me to read do you want me to talk about my paragraph first of what got me into game, or do you want to go first?
Sure. Gabe, what got you into gaming?
I can't decide if I want to read my paragraph or if I want to just, I'll start with the paragraph.
Okay.
I could have answered this freehand easily. It was always my dad. It was my dad because he used to game for like as long as as long as I've known him. My whole life, whatever. He gave birth to me. He didn't. Whatever. Anyways, he used to game with two of our really close family friends that we had, and like that was their thing, was, gaming, board games, card games. And so I used to always sit on his lap watching him. Okay, and then ironically, I just talked before you came in, I was talking to him. So the main game that he played when I was really little was called Hexen. And he came over and I was like, "Dad, I don't know if I had a dream about this or if I really saw this on Steam, but they made Hexen on Steam so you can play it on the computer." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Wait, let me pull it up in case I just imagined this." But it actually is on Steam now. It's a I think it came out in the 90s, but I'm not 100% on that. I'm pretty sure it came out in the 90s. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy to play again." Anyways, oh, I did write in here they remade it on Steam. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But yeah, that was something I thought about streaming just for the feels. And I don't know. Anyways, as I got older, he would let me like press some of the keys with him, or like help. But
Were you pressing keys like you were actually doing
yeah,
things, or was he letting you press keys that didn't do anything but just like made you feel involved? Like I've seen so many TikToks of like people putting up
yeah.
on their TV screens some like, I don't know if they're like We Fit games or other games, and their kids just kind of bounce around because you have to like jump on the beat or something, and they're just like, we're doing it, but they're not connected to anything, and so they're just like going through the game and just being like, oh my gosh, we're doing it, we're doing it, we're doing so good, we're like getting all the things, and then the game ends and they win. And
Honestly, I wish he let me fake it to make it, but he didn't. He actually, because we always played a PC gamers. That's what we were, and um so like I was talking about the first game that I played with him, because I didn't play the Hex, and he was like, "That's a little too violent. Like I can't have you."
what is Hexen?
Um, so you can be. It's so long ago. I have very vague memories of it. it was kind of a darker game, or it looks darker. I don't know if the story is actually darker, but it's like it's kind of like a hellscape, and you're
Oh, okay.
fight. I mean, you're killing monsters and stuff, but it's I don't know. I'd have to look at it. I just have very, very like pictures of it in my mind, and I still have the
Mm,
CD and like the CD case because that was I don't know that was like our first moment because gaming has just always been gaming and sports and the outdoors are like the three things where me and my dad bond.
yeah.
So
Standard.
yes, yeah. So the first game we
Standard dad things.
that's pretty true. The first game we played together was Sansera. I call it Zanzera, but when you watch like trailers and stuff, they called it Sansera. It was a fairy game.
Mm,
And so it was kind of like Pokemon in that you collected fairies and you used fairies to battle. But I feel okay, it's more mature than Pokemon. And I think it has way more lore and story than Pokemon. No offense, Pokemon. Don't get upset. Don't come for me. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude. And that the battle was more involved because like when you were battling with your fairies, like you were the fairy. It was first person. You were actually doing the flying and like shooting your spells and like charging up and trying to destroy the other fairies. And so to answer your question, he would let me like press the buttons. So usually
mm.
like some we would do it where he would be the mouse and then I would be the movement. And he'd be like yelling at me. So I kind of wish he would have just let me think I was doing something because I was like, I tried so hard. I don't
I need
know.
you to hold down shift. I need
Yeah.
you to hold down shift.
Or yeah, or to be screaming at me to press the space bar because the space bar was how you switch fairies. So that was the thing too. For the super big battles, he would like um so the first thing we'd do is we'd assess the other team because you can look at the other team's fairies before the battle. So obviously you don't know which ones they're going to be pulling out, but you can look at them and we'd make a plan of attack, right? We'd be like, okay, if they pull out this fairy, we then have to pull out this fairy because this is it's counter or what's going to be good against it, right? So we'd make our plan of attack and I'd be like, okay. So he would do all the flying and like the shooting, and my sole job was the space bar and being ready to switch what fairy we had according to which fairy they pulled out. It was like really intense. It's such a good game though. I love it so much. And then the other games when I was younger that he gave me to kind of like encourage me, and he played them with me, was the Harry Potter computer games. And I remember in the first Harry Potter game, I could never beat the troll. The troll is like chasing you and you're like collecting
Mm,
jelly beans and it's like super intense. You're trying to jump over these holes in the ground and I could never do it. So he always had to do that for me. And then when we're in the library trying to get Norbert up to the top so Ron's brother can take him away so Hagrid doesn't get in trouble. You're like going through all these library levels and Filch is there trying to find you and then eventually Mrs. Norris comes. So
mm.
I could like kind of handle Filch, but the second Miss Norris was there, it was like too much anxiety for me. And I'd be like,
No.
Dad, I need you to help me. I can't do it. I can't handle this. It's scaring me. It freaks me out. But then we had Shrek
Mm.
2 and then the Nancy Drew games. He got me my first Nancy Drew game. And then he continued to get them for me and get them for me. So I was mainly a PC gamer and I did like the RuneScape in middle school. But then my lady, my daycare mom, her daughter, who was my friend, and then some of my other friends, between those, I played on the GameCube, Nintendo DS, Xbox, PS, um, Game Boy, and stuff. So and then like I was telling you, those games you could plug into the PC. So we had the Mary Kay and Ashley
Yeah.
Sweet 16 and those designer games. I have to stop. This is too much nostalgia for me. Anyways, what got you into gaming, sweetie? Or Lauren, sorry.
um, it was also my parents, but they were, so I had a computer in my bedroom that did not have internet, that was just like, could have Word on it and whatever. And then I'd have to transfer my documents onto like a thumb drive or whatever and take it upstairs if I needed to print anything out. But
Can I just say,
I,
that was kind of the beauty of PC gaming back in the day is you just had CDs, so it didn't matter if you had internet or not.
yeah,
Sorry,
it was
continue.
really nice. So, first, my parents were getting me CDs like Math Blasters or other like educational
Yes.
CD games where you
Yeah.
would like solve math problems, and then your rocket ship would be getting fixed, or you'd go and play all of these mini games to save these people and whatever, and then eventually get back home. But you would have to do different types of math, and there were different levels you could be at, and so it was very educational but still fun.
Did you do
So I
Type to
was
Learn 3 or Type to Learn? Any of those? I think
I
there's.
probably did type to learn. Yeah. Yeah. There was, yeah. So I just remember a variety of like those kind of educational
Mhm.
games that I was playing. And then Nancy Drew, definitely my mom was getting, because the four Nancy Drews that I have, or that I had on CD, as I've explained before, are all ones that came out between like 2002 and 2005, I think,
Well, which
which is
games
putting
are
me about
those?
like, so it was Message in a Haunted Mansion, Treasure in the Royal Tower, Final Scene, and Secret of the Scarlet Hand. So I think all of those came out like 2002, 2004.
Did you not play Curse of Blackmore Manor when you were younger?
So I had those four that I just talked about on CD-ROM. I owned those,
Mm-hmm.
and so we played them a lot. But then we would rent the other ones from the library.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
But the ones that we didn't have, those ones we would like start and then, get stuck, and then the next week come back to it. And at that point, we'd completely forgotten anything that was going on. And I was like 11, so my brain was not exactly good at remembering details or materials. So a lot of those were really, really hard, just
Yeah.
being broken up and um, just being young.
Some of them were actually really hard when you were young. Like some made more sense. I think were a little bit easier logic for a child to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then some of them were just like Blackmore Manor was really hard for me when I was young. It also
Yeah.
traumatized me. That one was so scary as a child.
Some of the games where it is more of a linear
You're right.
situation, and you just, you solve a couple puzzles and then you move forward and don't have to worry about those puzzles. And then you solve another couple puzzles and then you don't have to worry. Like Treasure in the Royal Tower is perfect for that.
Right.
It's
Hmm.
pretty linear. Like you still have to solve puzzles, but they're more of like small individual things that you have to figure out. They're
Right.
not like in Blackmore Manor where you have to go back and do 12 things that you've kind of been accumulating over time in order to finish up the story. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot more information that comes from a lot of different places, and that's hard for a kid.
Yeah, bringing that all together and yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like even Message in a Haunted Mansion where you have to collect all of those Chinese symbols from
Mhm.
around the house when you run into them, and when you run into them Nancy will say, "Oh, a child." Like she'll call it out for you, but if you're not picking up on that and you're not looking out for them, and then at the end of the game when you're faced with the puzzle where you have to do it and you're like, "Oh no, I wasn't making notes of what all of these are.
Mhm.
I need to go back and like find and look for them." Like you can mostly get along in that game not really taking notes, but then some of the final puzzles at the end you're just like, "Uh-oh."
I feel like
Um,
that's something too, right? As a kid, you don't necessarily know what you should be taking note of. Because, like, when I was older playing back these games, when I've done my marathons, it's very much my brain's like, okay, this is definitely going to come up in something. Or playing even other puzzle games. You know what I mean? But as a kid, you're
yeah.
just kind of like, it either all seems important or nothing seems important.
Well, especially kids rush.
Mm-hmm.
Kids
Mm-hmm.
keep it moving. Kids are just like, boring. I don't want to read that. Oh, I want to keep clicking. I want to go find the ghost. I want to go do this. I want to go do
Yeah.
that. And so they're thinking ahead to what they want to do and not necessarily
What
thinking
needs
about
to
the
do.
clues or the thing or the hints that the game is trying to show you. So there were a lot of times that we would have to go and like look up the answers or whatever to a specific puzzle because we don't know where to go find all of the different pieces. I don't know.
Do you remember the like super old, like original walkthrough site for these games? And it had
Yes. Yes.
like it was like the question, you could like click it and it would like give one thing and then you could like further expand. That gives me such nostalgia because now that I don't even know if you can find that if you type in a Nancy Drew walkthrough. Like it shows all these other different things. I'm like, "Oh, but the OG prevented you from finding spoilers because it knew what you'd be asking. You know what I mean? Do you want to talk about the Xbox before we go on?
Yeah. So when I was anyway, so yes, so Nancy Drew was basically the only thing that I was playing when I was a teenager. Because I had moved on past all of the educational games. I was just doing Nancy Drew. Oh, I got into some of the Flash games. So I'd go up to my family's computer that
Yeah.
had internet, and that's where I'd play like My Scene or any of those Flash games that were girly and about fashion or kind of precursor to any of those like the Kim Kardashian game or any of those other ones where you'd like walk around and interact with people and like have little conversations and do little fashion things and whatever. Um, so so yeah, a lot of those flash games is what I spent time with, and then just the Nancy Drews that my sister and I would play.
I'm
But then
shocked you didn't play like Sims or anything. You give me those kind of vibes. Like I feel like as a kid you would have been playing the Sims or like the Tycoon games.
I did play the Tycoon games.
Did you? I played those with one of my friends. She
Yeah,
loved those.
I did have Zoo Tycoon.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of like the CD ROMs that are at my parents' house that I haven't touched in 15 years. But yeah, no, Zoo Tycoon, my sister and I played that
Mhm.
for sure. Um I believe I had Sims 2, but I didn't play too much of it.
Yeah.
I yeah, I don't know if my computer maybe just like couldn't run it very well or I mean, I definitely got into Sims later
Right.
once I had a laptop that could run more things.
Okay, but
So,
Sims, that's fair because my honest opinion, some of the Sim games, I feel like all the Sim games are kind of poorly optimized. Even if you had a good computer, sometimes they would just be weird.
but yeah, my sister got an Xbox because her boyfriend at the time and a group of their friends all played a lot of Xbox games. And
Mm.
I was preparing to go off to college. And so my parents, kind of as a consolation gift, was just like, okay, your sister is abandoning you. So let's give you an Xbox. I was moving barely away, and she ended up going to the same college. So,
It's
anyway,
not like
my sister,
you had to go to college. Like what?
I know, my sister and I are very close. And so separation is just very sad.
I feel that. I feel that. Me and my sister are the same way. I totally understand. That's what she said to me when I went to college was that I was abandoning her. And I was like, what do you want from me? Just kidding.
Yeah. As the older child, it's hard for me to like
What?
picture
Yeah.
that. Like, picture the idea of like if I was the younger sibling, or if I had an older sibling who I loved and I looked up to, and, you know, was a very important, impactful person in my life, and
Hmm.
they went off to college, and all of a sudden I was kind of an only child
Yeah.
for another few years before going off to college. It's hard for me to like picture that life,
Yeah. I
versus
kind
the
of
older
get it.
sibling. You're just like, I'm out of here. You'll be out of here ASAP once you're done too. So like, come on, we're all in this together.
That's true. I get it a little bit because so my sister's almost 9 years younger than me. And so
Mm,
when I moved back in with my parents, you know, like this is her first year in college. So it was very strange being back home. And I think for a year, she was here and all of that. And it was like I never left home.
yeah.
But then right, she went to college this year and it was so strange. I was so sad to not have her because like we were close and we did, you know, I don't know. I was like another mom to her and she was my little baby. And so when she left, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, is this what it felt like? She was like, yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, because she used to, when I went to college, she messaged me every night, good night. I was like,
Oh no.
it was so wholesome. Anyways, I'm sorry.
It's so hard when things change. And it's hard to be the one who's watching change happen,
Mm-hmm.
especially as a teenager when you're
Yeah.
still trying to like figure your life out, and you're like, this is all I've ever known.
Yeah.
And then something changes, whether that's, your sibling goes to college, or like something else big happens to your family dynamic. And all of a sudden you're like, this has been my entire world, and my entire world is gone. And it's not, you're not the one going to college. So you're not
Right.
the one who's like walking off and like being like, hello, world, I'm here. You're the one who's left behind
Yeah.
in a weird space that is home, but it's not the
Right.
same home.
For for the first like 10 years of my sister's life, we shared a room. So like
Mm,
she moved into my room and we had a bunk bed. And so we literally like completely lived together for like 10 years. I don't know if I ever told you this too. It was it was a little traumatizing. So, when she was really little and we shared the room, obviously I would change in the room, but because I was older and going through puberty and stuff, my sister would be like, "Oh my gosh, what's that? What's your chest? Why does your chest look like that?" Or
my
you
gosh.
have hair on your pride, like shit like that. And I was like, do you mind? Like, can you leave me alone? But it was very strange when I went to college. My mom moved her workroom downstairs because we finished the basement, and then her workroom on the first floor became my bedroom. And it was like I know my sister was happy to have her own room, but it was also really sad and strange because we had been listening to each other sleep for 10 years. Oh,
Yeah.
sad times. I'm sorry. Don't look at me. You're the one who's supposed. You have stuff to keep talking about. I keep interrupting you. I'm so sorry. Stop. If you cry, I'm gonna cry. Stop it right now. I'm drinking my smoothie. I can't.
um Anyway, so on the Xbox that my sister got, we played Skyrim, and we played Halo, and we did like just let's just dance or whatever that game was, where it's kind of like a little exercise thing, and you just, you know, jump around. And it was Just Dance 3, because it had Giddy On Up, Giddy On Out by Laura Bell Bundy, um,
Mm,
which was my fave.
Fair. Okay, maybe I'm just confusing the Dance Dance Revolution. I'm sorry. My apologies. Just dance. It'll be okay. Okay, anyways.
Anyways, but yeah, so that's kind of when I started getting into like real games, quote unquote, like getting out of like kind of early days CD-ROM. Because yeah.
But like that
And
was gaming then. Like what do you mean?
I
That's just what gaming
know.
was. So that's why I'm confused. Why did you say since you were 12? Because I feel like it sounds like you started earlier than that.
Yeah, maybe 10. We'll say 10.
Okay. Well, mine was my whole life. I'm just going to say my whole life because I was playing with my dad. And came out of the womb a gamer.
Well, my dad really wasn't. I mean, I'm sure he did computers for his career,
Yeah.
um, computer security, and and infrastructure stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm sure he played video games of a sort, but he started to get into a lot of the Xbox games that my
Okay.
sister was playing. So like he enjoyed Halo and like would play Halo with
Oh.
us and oh gosh. I think there was another game that he like got pretty into. I don't remember what it was though. But it was
That's
very
fun.
funny because
Oh.
he was like mostly retired and was just like, you know, doing some
Let's
gaming and we were
dance.
like,
It'll be.
what's happening with you?
Oh.
Giddy
That's.
on up, giddy on out.
I love that for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I hope you expand upon your answer of what kinds of games do you like to play because mine's a paragraph. And then I felt
Yes.
guilty for writing this much because I know we've talked about this before, but I felt like I just if if you don't know, honestly, I play all genres of games. I like I just like games, okay? And I like a variety. But if I had to like try to narrow it down, which I feel like I really didn't because I have four. I did survival, horror, story, and puzzle. And I feel like that still makes it very broad, but those would be like if I could only play certain kinds of games for the rest of my life, that's what I would choose. But then like I do play competitive and ranked FPS games because that's what a lot of my male friends enjoy. But then I also play like Stardew Valley and those kinds of games because that's what a lot of my female friends like to play. And then there's the games that I personally like to play. I oh, this is true. Reading back what I said, my top favorite, if I had to choose one, would be community games or basically any kind of game where you can directly experience it with another person because I don't know. I think it's cuz I grew up gaming with my dad and having that bond that I
Mm-hmm.
like having that connection of experiencing it with someone. And like that's why I started streaming even in the first place was like yes, I want to help people. That's also a main thing, but it was sharing the experience with other people
Mm-hmm.
and like being able to talk about it and all of that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's adventuring
yeah.
with friends or family or whoever. It's, yeah,
Hmm.
half of the fun of gaming, which again is how we both got into Twitch,
Yeah.
is sharing your experience with someone else and being able to talk to someone else about it. Because otherwise, if you're just sitting around playing video games by yourself,
Hmm.
all like that's an isolating experience. Like you're enjoying the story and the depth and all of the work and the art and solving puzzles and just like utilizing so much of your brain, but not being able to like talk about that or share
Yeah.
that with other people. I mean, it's fun, but at some point it's not enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can feel really nice as kind of a break to recharge your social batteries or um, to just like get really deep into something, and then you emerge and you're like, ah, what time is it? But in
And
the
you learn
long
stuff
term, like, yeah,
about the
seeing
person.
how other people solve things.
Oh, sorry. I just that you learn stuff about the people you're playing with too, of like how like their perspective on things, how they see things, how they look at the world, and what they get from the game versus maybe how you saw it. Does that make
Mm-hmm,
sense?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your favorite games? What genre? Come on, just tell us. Expand upon it,
Yeah.
please. It's like
So
6 words.
I do a lot of point and click mysteries, puzzles. I find that in most of the media I consume, whether that's books or TV shows or movies, I like a mystery aspect.
Hmm.
I always have. Those have always been the books and whatnot that I've been drawn to. I
Yeah.
like having, it doesn't have to be a murder mystery, but that's kind of how a lot of those go.
Shank you
But
dead.
but I like the unraveling piece of something has happened and you have to find out what, whether it's figuring it out from somebody's interactions or finding clues. My brain is doing its crow mode of like, ooh, something shiny over there. I want to go pick it up. And then I want to connect the pieces and put the puzzle together and say, great, here's what I can do with all of these things I've acquired. And here's how I can use logic to figure out what happened. Like, I just get a lot of joy from being able to do that. And so other puzzle games or like Stardew Valley or anything else where it's just like, I'm going to do these things and then it's going to result in getting this or, um, yeah, otherwise being successful and being able to move on to the next level. It itches my brain in a good way.
I like it. No, I feel that. I love that. That's why I love puzzle games too. And yeah, we grew up watching a lot of like murder, not necessarily murder, but like mystery TV
Yeah.
series. It was either mystery or sci-fi, to be honest with you. It was monster movies, horror, or I feel like a lot of it was murder mystery. I feel like a lot of mysteries have murder.
I recently purchased the add on to my Amazon Prime account for Hallmark
Oh,
movies
yeah, yeah.
because the Hallmark movies and mysteries channel were all the horrifically written murder mysteries where there's, you know, like a touch of romance and it's always just, you know, a strong woman who's not looking for a relationship and she meets just charming guy who helps her solve crimes. Um, it's just very fun for me. I love a casual game that I can be playing
Hmm.
on one screen and then have like a bad TV show up on the other
Have
one
your
so that
Hallmark
like
on the other.
exactly. No, like playing a game like The Sims or like something else where it's kind of
Yeah.
there's not a story going on. It's kind of mindless and I can just be like, "Ooh, I want to do this thing or I want to do that thing or I'm going to put this together." And then everyone and then just like having
Yeah.
understanding what's going on at the screen without having to pay a lot of attention to that as well.
Hmm.
It's just very nice. It's the same as just doing a puzzle while watching a movie.
Yeah.
It's having something to do with my hands and being like, "Ooh, what can I do over here?" And so it's a little bit of creativity,
Yeah.
but if my brain says, "Ooh, you know, I'm going to take a break for a second. We're just going to let stuff work it out in the cogs of the brain while I then turn and watch whatever stupid thing I have on." It's just nice. It's just a
Mhm.
nice night.
It is. I love that for you. All right. What's your favorite game?
So I had to think about this. Um,
I did
my
too.
favorite game is Crusader Kings 3.
lucky.
And I say that based purely on the number of hours that I have spent playing it, because I have played truly so many hours of Crusader Kings 3, because it is decently mindless, where you're just like
Her
there's not
original answer
necessarily
was
a
Hades, if you guys are wondering.
my original answer was Hades. That's true. Um Based on the plot and the music and the characters and the fighting style, and because it's not a type of game, like roguelite is not something I have ever played before.
Right.
And so it was just new to me, and it took me a really long time to it the first time I beat Hades, like Hades the person in the game, the first time I got
Yep.
through the game was my 100th try. Like it took me so long because I had never played anything like it, and so I
Yep.
just kept working on it. But then once I beat him, then I like was able to keep beating him because I had finally figured out
You'd
how to play the
mastered.
game and how to be successful. And I was just really proud of myself. And again, the story is wonderful, and the music is incredible, and the art is incredible, and I just loved it so much. Um, it's just such a well done game.
I see. I feel like that could be your favorite. Okay, so I understand you doing Crusader Kings, right? Because that's your like most played game. That's why I chose Skyrim because I have hundreds of hours in that flipping game. Like I always come back to it for whatever reason, and then I chose it because it was a pivotal experience in my life. But like when I was thinking about it, I was like, do I just choose like my most played game? Because I don't really know what else to do. There's too many games I
But
like.
Crusader Kings 3, I love Crusader Kings 3.
Right,
I
right.
love creating my characters. I love uh, figuring out what type of person I'm going to be, what lineage I'm going to be, just like playing through just it again, itches that piece of my brain that's just like, oh, go do this thing, go do
Yeah,
this thing, go and explore. There's just a lot of things going on, but you don't have to do any of them. And so
right,
you can really just kind of like pick and choose and feel like what's going on. And um, it can be as mindless or as involved as you want. And I've just had so much fun starting, restarting, changing, pivoting. There are just so many things you can do in the game that every time I play, it's a totally new experience. And I
right.
love that. And so I have played for truly just so many hours. Like there was a good period of time where I was playing it every other night or something. Like
I
I
was gonna
was
say that was
every
all
time
you
I was at
played.
my computer, I was playing Crusader Kings just cuz I love it so much.
I love that for you. I really do. This is this is not my kind of game. Or I
Are you looking at Crusader Kings 3 or what?
yeah. It's like it's not that it's not my kind of game. Like I can play these for a little bit. These are something I would much prefer to watch someone play
Hmm.
because playing it doesn't hold my interest as much, but like watching someone who's passionate about it and like knowledgeable about it and that kind of stuff, I enjoy watching that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there's a Twitch partner who for a while there, and she's like an 8 to 5 streamer. Like
Yeah,
it's her day job. Like
good
she
for her.
streams during her full quote unquote regular workday. And there was a while there where she was pretty much only playing Crusader Kings, and she was choosing some specific pieces to go down, and she was just like, all right, well, we're going to turn all of this witchcraft, or we're going to do all. So she was kind of doing
Oh, that's
challenges
fun.
for herself. And I
Oh
was just like,
yeah.
I want to do that.
Like the sim challenges people do. I love that. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Are you ever gonna do? Will you ever stream something like that? Because I feel like that'd be interesting to watch.
I've streamed it a couple times. Um, yeah. I don't know. I haven't streamed in like 3 weeks. I've
No
just
way.
been Yeah.
Oh.
I've just, I feel like for a lot, I mean, I started streaming during COVID, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like as my social life has started picking back up, Twitch has been less of a priority just
Yeah.
because I'm socializing elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling less of like a need to be social by being on Twitch. I don't know. It's just one
That's
of
what
those like
that's fair.
phases. And I haven't really taken a true vacation from Twitch
Mhm.
in like 2 years. So
It's totally fair.
just because of life and doing other stuff, I just haven't haven't streamed in a bit. So I
So
don't know.
fair.
But yeah, I I'm happy to stream Crusader Kings 3.
Oh my god, we still have so many questions to get through. Okay. Top 5 games.
Top 5 games: Crusader Kings 3, duh. Skyrim, duh. Stardew Valley, duh. Sims 4, surprise. Um, no, not surprise.
No.
Again, it's one of those Crusader Kings, Stardew Valley, and Sims 4 are all of those kind of like mindless games where I can have a Hallmark movie on
Mhm.
next to me while I'm like focusing, 60 to 70% of my energy on the game
Mhm.
most of the time. Skyrim, as we've talked about, love it. Love it so much. And then my number 5 is Nancy Drew Curse of Blackmore Manor, which is my favorite Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
And it just, I love the puzzles in it. I've talked about it.
No, no, it's I think it ooh, I think it might be my favorite too. It's so hard to choose one, but
Ooh.
I think it would be my favorite too because it was like a really pivotal Nancy Drew in my childhood, but I
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
still equally enjoyed as much as an adult.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's so hard because I really do love like all of the Nancy Drew games for different reasons, but I feel like it would be Curse of Blackborough Manor. I think all of your top 5 games, okay, besides Crusader Kings 3,
They all slap.
they all slap. I've never played the other one, so I can't really speak against it or for it, but they're all slap. I put Skyrim too, and then the one I put Sansera because that was like I loved it not just because it was like my dad's and my thing, but I actually genuinely really loved it. And then Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning was like a middle school childhood game for me that I
Mm.
really loved. It's very Skyrim esque. Came out around the same time as Skyrim. I love those kinds of games. I put Witcher 3 because I felt like I had a theme going with the types of games I was choosing for my top 5. So I was like, I'll just
Mm-hmm.
pick Witcher 3 because I did actually really love that. I think that was the best of the Witcher games. Like they were all good, but I think that was the best one, which kind of, I mean, I was gonna say makes sense because
Mm.
the first one, I don't know. I'm not gonna get into it. Anyways, and then I was like, I don't know what I would choose because I feel like I have to have a survival game in here because like I love survival games, and there was a long time where that was like that's all I wanted to play because I just like surviving in general, like me and my dad. But like we love hardcore camping and like just going off into butt nowhere, no civilization, and so I feel like that's partially why I really love survival games because I can still have that experience even when I can't go do it. I don't know. I just love
Mm.
that. So I should probably survival game, but I really don't know if I could pick one because there's like a handful that I really really love. Like I'd have to do a top 5 of survival games.
I'm gonna say The Forest.
Yeah, it would be the forest. Astroneer would be up there because
Mm.
those two were like survival games I played from their very beginning, like the early access, the beta, the alpha, all of that. So like the whole process of those. And then 7 Days to Die, the same with that. Like those three were my huge survival games when they were coming out and like developing and all of that. So it would be so hard to pick one of them because
Mm-hmm.
they're all different. You have zombie
Yeah.
apocalypse, space apocalypse, honestly.
Yeah.
and then cannibal apocalypse. You're crash landed onto a Canadian island and the cannibals want you.
Not the Canadians.
Not the Canadians. So it would be those three, but I don't know if I could pick one. Oof, it'd be hard. Okay, most underrated game for me. I had to bring it up again. I'm sorry, I've talked about like 5 times. It was Sansera. Uh and okay, I feel like nobody played this game and it's so tragic. No one I have ever
I've
talked to
never heard of it,
has ever
but
known what
that
it is.
truly means nothing.
That's okay. It it's so tragic it did not get more love because it totally could have had a sequel and the sequel would have been really good too. I just know it. But it has one of the most beautiful soundtracks I've ever heard in a game. The graphics were like beautiful and really amazing for the time, but then I feel like they also kind of still
The first half of the game was great.
yes.
It went downhill after that.
My dad says the first half of the game was really great and then it went downhill after that. I was telling them, I was talking about how we would play together and in like the really big intense battles, we would start out with making our battle plan. So we'd look at the fairies and we'd be like, okay, this is our counter to that. This is our counter to that. This is our counter to that. And my sole job would be to press the space bar to switch what fairy we had. When
oh. I'd be crabbing, I'd be flying, I'd be jumping, I'd be switching fairies.
Yeah. And like that was my sole job was to watch.
Space bar, space bar, space bar.
Oh man.
But you did a great job.
Thank you. I was the fairy master. I was like, okay, this is what because this was also what I was going to talk about is its combat system is one of the most unique ones I've ever seen, like of all the games I've ever played because you had so just like Pokemon, right? You had, like fire, water, earth, all of that, right? But then there's like this whole system where certain fairies, okay, Pokemon does this too, I think, could take on like other what do you call it? So like a fire fairy could have water magic sometimes, but it was only certain spells and like only certain fairies could do it and it was very right, you know what I mean? And so then you had two sets of spells per fairy. You had your one set that was one offense spell and one defense, and then you had your second that was one offense and one defense. And so within one fairy, right, you could have like your water fairy could have water, which was good against certain, but then its second set could have like light magic, right? And then that would cover multiple fairies because you had the two different. It was more complex than that, but okay. So you probably can't hear him because of how my mic is right now. So he brought up another point too of how it was like even more complex than that was certain arenas also affected gameplay too, like what arenas you were in. But then like if you were in the natural habitat of the fairy that attacked you, they were way stronger than in other environments. So the one he brought up was the dark fairies. They were such ass if you played them in any environment other than the catacombs. If you brought them down to the catacombs and the dark caves, they were like destroyed, 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 you're done. They were so OP. But if you leveling them up in any other environment was like the most god awful thing you would ever decided to do in your lifetime. You were like, why did I decide to do this? It's really great. I'd recommend it. Watch the trailer. You can get it on Steam and play it. I haven't tried it, I think, on this computer. I think I have tried it. But you can play it. I would recommend it 10 out of 10, especially if you love fairies. It is really beautiful and like elvish, that kind of stuff. Anyways, tell us about your sexy business. Max Gentleman Sexy Business.
Max Gentleman Sexy Business
You streamed that, right? In like February?
I did. I did a lot of streaming of Max
Yes.
Gentleman Sexy Business. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
So
Sorry.
people write it off because the art style kind of like makes you think of like, you know, Dream Daddy or any of those other kind of like, you know, very
Is
like
this a Steam game?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
very
listening.
like overtly sexual. So, yes. You can turn it so that it's like not sexual at all. So you can kind of turn that piece off. You can make it not you can make it decently safe for work and you can make it super not safe for work, just like depending on how you feel, how spicy you want to be, how much you can show on stream. But
I'm watching the
it's
trailer. I'm sorry.
so there's a lot of like character pieces where just like it's fun stories. Every character you meet, you can determine if you want to become a friend or like want to, you know, kind of build a relationship with them, and you like gain hearts and build hearts, and you so that's kind of like on the side is like you
Mhm.
go on dates with people and you like build a relationship. But the main like actual gameplay is resource management, where as you build closer friendships or build relationships with your characters, they can become stronger and help you gain resources as you try to move through the greater story, where
Mhm.
there's several different levels of bosses that you are kind of working through,
Wait,
a whole
there's
bunch of like mini
bosses?
bosses.
Like
Okay.
fights?
Yeah. So the
What?
resource management is fighting. The
Oh,
resource
that's
management is
crazy.
fighting. So
Okay.
you're going through and you're like sending people off to like get people and get resources and whatever. And each stage of the journey is like an area on the map.
Mhm.
And so this is where the sexy business comes in, because you are a master or a lady of industry, and you
Okay.
basically, the story at the beginning is that you have a rival and they've taken all of your assets. You're rebuilding your empire,
Mhm.
and so you're making friends along the way, building your relationship with them, and you are taking over pieces of industry as you work towards the final boss. So you're like gaining workers, you're gaining strength, you're moving on towards the final boss.
Mhm.
um, and then you finally beat him, and then he's just like, oh my gosh, well, actually, I was doing it on behalf of this guy. And so then you go through, and so you just are migrating through a bunch of different layers of kind of like mini bosses and having all of your people taking them out. And again, as you have multiple people like in one specific area, then they start building relationships. And so it's just all about creating these relationships. And as you level up their relationships, you level up outfits, you level up dates, you level up
Mhm.
conversations, you level up information and details about them. And then even once you finish the game, you still maintain those relationships. So you can go back and go through and do your resource management battles or whatever and still maintain the relationships, or you can start from scratch again.
Mhm.
But I love the resource management so much. Like, I find it just a genuinely really really fun game to play. And yeah, the dates are fun and they're spicy and ridiculous, and the further you build the relationship, the more spicy they're going to get. Unless you've marked them as just friends, and there are a whole bunch of really wild characters. It's created by the same people who do like Monster Prom, and so
Oh
they'll have
yes.
like outfits that like are used in Monster Prom, where it's like you
Mhm.
can dress up your Max Gentleman in whatever.
Oh.
It's just really fun. It's lighthearted, it's silly, it's ridiculous, it's kind of goofy Victorian language.
Yeah.
And it's just a really good time. I've really enjoyed it. It's really fun to stream because I blush really easily, and so I will have to be like reading out some gently risque things live on stream. And it just like makes me blush and just like stresses me out. Um, and people really enjoy it. So
I
it's fun.
just added it to
It's
my
a
wish list.
It's yeah. I've really, really, really enjoyed it. And I think a lot of people just write it off just because it is the sexy business and it,
Yeah.
is focused on that area of it. But
I feel like they have honey pop PTSD, and so they see those kinds of games and
mm,
they're like, it's all gonna be like, not that there's anything wrong with honey pop, but that it's like
yeah,
very sexual.
yeah.
Okay. Overhyped game. This sounds terrible because I've never played this game, but Genshin Impact for me is an overhyped game. Every time I watch people play it, I just don't get it. I really don't get it. I'm like, all right. I mean, like you go ahead and enjoy what you want to enjoy. I'm not gonna make fun of you or anything or judge, but I don't feel like it's all that. Don't tell your husband because I think you've told me he plays it. Oh
No,
no, it's a
nope.
different game that he plays. Never mind. There's something else I think we
Yeah.
talked about.
I feel similarly to Valheim, which I know I have a lot of friends and family who really do enjoy it. I
I
feel
played
like there are
Valheim
other,
and I feel you.
yeah. I just feel like every time I play it, I'm like, there are other games that do this better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I acknowledge that Valheim allows for multiple people. So like people like it because of the community, which maybe they can't get in other similar games where it's more of like a individuals doing things. So
But there's so many
I
survival
understand the
games.
appeal. It
There's
just
so many
doesn't do it for me.
multiplayer survival games. I no, I feel it. Like I think the lore and stuff and kind of like the mythology they pull from is really interesting, because it's Nordic. But I just, like you said, I think there's survival games that did it better, like did different aspects better and stuff. And yeah, no, I agree. I feel like that's an overhyped game too. I feel like a lot of the people I know who would like talk about liking survival games, their top one's always like Valheim, and I'm like, but there's so many other great ones. Like what? Anyways, game recommendations. I don't know. I feel like it's hard to recommend a specific game to someone because everyone has their own taste. So I would just say give every genre a try because you might think you wouldn't like it and then you actually find out you do like it, or maybe you just like some games within the genre. So, don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone.
I think there are also a lot of games which are kind of hybrids,
Yes, true.
where if you really like puzzle games,
Hmm.
then there are some puzzle games which are maybe a little bit spookier, or there are puzzle games which are maybe a little more like FPS, I guess. Like
No, I get what you
you
mean though.
can, yeah, you can find a lot of, if you know what you do like, you can find games that incorporate pieces of that have different themes or different styles or add in something a little bit different to test it
Yes.
out.
Yeah. No, very true. Dip your toes in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Why do we like gaming? I feel like we kind of talked about this, and you might have more to add to your answer. But we talked about how experiencing it with someone else, and like that's kind of what brought us to Twitch. But I guess for me to expand on the experiences that gaming offers so many different experiences. So not only can you experience it with other people, but you can be something or someone you'd never be able to be otherwise, or something you've always wanted to be. You can experience the simulation of something you've always wanted to do. I mean, there's like farm simulators, the house flipper simulators, power wash, like so many different simulators. And I mean, like there's games that you can learn stuff in, like different mythologies or like we always talk about the Nancy Drews, like there's like the whole game, the Shadow Ranch, right? You learn all about horses or like history or all of that stuff. And it can be a solo experience, it can be something experience with other people. It's just it has so much to offer, and gaming can just always suck you in. It just sucks you in, and then you don't have to think about any of the stuff that's been weighing on you or just any of the crap going on in your life. You have a brief reprieve. So that's why I enjoy gaming.
Yeah. Agreed that it can be an escape. It can be a way to build a community or socialize, learn. For most games, you are the main character, which I think is just
True.
it's fun. It's a way to other media doesn't really allow you to participate in it as much.
Mm-hmm.
You read a book, you watch TV, you watch a show. Like most media just kind of gets consumed. You're just a passenger along for the ride, but it's
Right.
really, really enjoyable to make the story happen in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And I think it really inspires people to be creative. And whether you're building a house in The Sims or whether you're shooting zombies with friends, like it makes you think about things differently,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of allows you to find that creativity, and maybe even inspires you to want to start making a game because you're like, how does this work? How would you code this? How would you allow this to happen? How can I, for Sims, there's a ton of hacks that people have figured out or learned or know. And so just having the creativity to say, I really want to do this. The game's not letting me, like, how can I figure out how to go and do this? You get to do a lot more of like processing where you get
Mm-hmm.
to say, let me try this 12 different ways with no like real world um, problems.
Yeah.
So you just get to test out a lot of theories and ideas and um, experiment
Mm-hmm.
more than you typically get to in the real world. In the real world, you get to do things once a lot of the times. You kind of have one shot to do it correctly. Otherwise, you have to go get more ingredients for the recipe, or you have to, you know, um,
You don't have
go,
infinite ingredients in real life? What?
what?
That's a shame.
Yeah. So I guess second tries is something that I think is really important.
It's okay to make mistakes in games, but in real life, you better not.
It's just more complicated.
No, I know. I'm sorry. It was me mean. It was just a prank, bro. Look, there's the camera. What advice would you give to fellow gamer girls, gamers in general? I didn't want to be exclusionary and say like it's only for gamer girls, but And I feel like I feel this really strongly because I do play FPS games and stuff where it's maybe more male dominated. They're so toxic, but just because you're behind a keyboard and screen or a controller and screen, it doesn't mean you're God, or just like the basic rules of common decency don't apply to you. Like they still apply, and there's no need for all of the tech toxicity. I just because like that, I feel like this is something people kind of think about in real life, is that when you talk to someone or when you're seeing someone, you don't know what that person is going through, and
Mm.
something you say could make their bad day so much worse. But it could also turn a bad day for them into a good day because they just needed that small nicety. And it just, I don't know, sometimes the toxic gaming culture just makes me so sad. And like it's just a game. It is just a game. You know, take a step back, take a deep breath. It's all okay. It is just a game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know if that's good advice. That's more of like, shame on all of you. Can you be better, please? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Good. Well, it's been a good episode. We love you all so much. Yeah. On that note.
Just kidding. It was a prank. Maybe you have better advice. Something that's actually advice.
I don't know if I have actual advice.
That's fair.
Other than there are lots of reasons to get into video games, as we've talked about. If you play games on your phone or on your computer or on a console, you can consider yourself a gamer.
On your
my
Nintendo
advice
64.
on a Nintendo 64. So don't let other people influence you when it comes to determining what kind of games you like, whether you consider yourself a gamer, whether you are trying to get involved in the gaming community.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you do, somebody is always going to express disapproval.
Yeah.
Whether it's people you run into while you're playing games, whether it's people in your real life who are like, why are you playing a video game? Somebody's always going to have an opinion. So I think my advice is just to say, I'm doing it because I want to, and it's quite frankly not your business. And do what you want to do.
Tell them.
Live your life.
I'm sorry, you're listing off the different things you can play on, and when I play Valorant, when you're like loading into the match, because like you're playing with a bunch of different people, sometimes it takes a really long time, and that's because one person is taking really long to load, and so I'm always like, who brought their Nintendo 64? So you were saying those. I'm sorry, it popped into my head and I had to say it. All right, bring us. I don't know. Tell us about the female developer spotlight. Enlighten us.
So today we're talking about Christina Curley. His gamer name is Fazero, we think. And she is a Black woman in America, and she is an award-winning anti-disciplinary video game designer, artist, and ambassador, exploring the frontiers of gaming and arts, personal experience games, and the study of level and environment design. I find her really, really interesting. She got her master's in 2019 on meaningful level design. So, like, that's her whole business, is just like figuring out what to do and how to be really, really creative with levels, which I think is just so interesting and it's so exciting. I've got a quote from her. Above all, my goal as a game designer is to create games that resonate with players on a deep level and leave a lasting impact on their lives. I am dedicated to pushing the boundaries of what is possible in the industry, and I look forward to continuing to create unforgettable gaming experiences for players around the world. She's currently working at Insomniac, and they have described her as a creative force that can spin up ideas and execute them quickly while working well and thriving with a team. She got her master's at UCLA and is currently an assistant professor there. So she's just staying. So she's currently working again as a designer, but is also staying in the sphere of academia, which I think is really exciting. She's worked on games such as Artifacts, Effigy, Breathe, Final Flight, and then she created game design, the game, which is kind of meta. It's a game about designing games. It uses unique mechanics to describe the design process in a humorous yet informative way, describing the highs and pitfalls of freelance and indie game making. She has a blog on her site, christinazero.com, where she talks a lot about like her journey, like what she's currently working on. She's very honest and casual with how she talks about it. So if you're at all interested in game design, I would really go check that out. It's full of all sorts of interesting tidbits and pieces and insights into what she's doing and her life as a game designer. Her thesis examines how 3D level designers for modern computer games can promote meaningful gameplay that focuses on intrinsic, emotion-driven player experiences, experiential design. It runs in direct opposition to proponents of game essentialism, a formalist approach to game criticism that believes games should be isolated from essential player experiences, art, and cultural history, and studied as abstract rule systems above all else. Where game essentialists and I agree is that computer games merit study, require a stable lexicon to discuss their qualities, and are not a satellite genre of film or narrative, though they may overlap in practice. So she really is focusing on the fact that games should not be kept or considered separate from like the art world and modern events, and shouldn't be just taken and reviewed in a vacuum. And so again, it's like working with that emotion and designing levels and storylines that are really going to make you think and make you consider what's going on and maybe tie back into real world issues.
I feel like that's been a oh my gosh, I forgot the word. Like common theme between a lot of these developers is that video game creation is art. It's like art, and it shouldn't be considered so separate from that.
Yeah. She recently worked on Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which was a pretty popular game that came out in 2021. Is currently working on a few more Insomniac games that have not yet been released, specifically Wolverine and Spider-Man 2.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that because I feel like, especially more recent years, where companies are just trying to crank out games, left and right, and like maximize their bag, they lose meaning in their games and in certain parts of their game because they're just doing it so fast. And I feel like that's part of what makes gaming so special, is when it has that well thought out meaning and it like affects you and stays with you.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 days after you played it, you're still thinking about it and pondering it, and you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
I think that's really awesome. I feel like that's something people need to think about more and incorporate more.
Yeah. So again, at ChristinaZero, ZERO.com, she has she's got a good website going where she includes her thesis, her level design thesis. So you can go onto her site and read through her whole master's thesis that's talking about level design. And it's really, really interesting.
If you have a developer game or side quest that you would like us to talk about, or any local anonymized gossip you simply must tell someone, please let us know on Twitter at nosidequests, or email us at nosidequests@gmail.com. Yes, nailed it. And if you'd like to see our lovely faces during the podcast, we post each episode with video to our I Don't Believe in Side Quests YouTube channel. And you can find me at nenyaadamas on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram. And you can find Lauren at sweetie_patat on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Hope your week is grand. Have a good one.
Bye.